Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors Podcast, your trusted source for outdoor information and entertainment. The Greenway Outdoors is also an internationally syndicated TV show and conservation advocate aimed at bringing millennials and Generation Z into the outdoors. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. The Greenway Outdoors is brought to you by Ram Trucks, built to serve, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year for the third year in a row, and by Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Tracker Boats, fish the finest, and by these other fine sponsors. Hello and welcome to episode 76 of the Greenway Outdoors Podcast. My name is Kyle Green.
I'm AJ.
I'm Jeff.
I am the producer, Ryan Parks.
Nice. See, they get an idea of what's going on. I appreciate that, Ryan. Nice title with the name.
Nice.
Okay, to kick this off, the sentence sums up what I'm going to be telling you. There is, for the first time, clear evidence of Europeans arriving in North America. And guess who they were? I'll give you a hint. They have a better team than the Lions.
Vikings.
Oh, everybody.
Nice.
Bengals. No, Chiefs.
No,
well, yeah, but
Vikings would make sense because they've been everywhere. They just went all over and pillaged.
Well, it is Vikings.
Well, what's your... Yeah, okay.
Genghis Khan.
It is Vikings.
Genghis Khan.
Question.
Good.
Why is Chiefs okay? If the
Whoa.
No,
Whoa.
It's not.
Well, a chief is like so many different things now. Chief of the fire department, police department.
their
Lion.nation.
logo really narrows it down.
Hey,
Why is Chiefs okay?
Let's not start an issue here.
Yeah, I'm triggered. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I wonder why Chiefs get the pass, but you get Blackhawks too.
You
though.
for a good portion of your life thought you were some kind of Native American.
Are we going to bring that up?
we
Yeah.
still don't know. My grandma didn't always tell the truth. if we're being okay, so I got a lot of messed up information. My dad also thought it was funny to tell me that we were part grizzly bear.
Yeah, that's
Long
true.
story short, no one would be more of a good story for 23andMe because I got no idea what to expect.
A lot of false positives on your 23andMe.
Yeah. I know I'm 1/64th Cherokee.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
there's
So
that.
back to our
So
story.
I'm offended.
You can't get a scholarship, so
Yeah. It doesn't count.
So I want to focus on this story about the Vikings, and they arrived. I mean, in the year that they know that they were there, we don't know that it's the year they arrived, but it's inside a 13-year span, is the year 1021. And I know Christopher Columbus landed in the Bahamas in 1492
With the Nina, the Pinta,
and
the
the
Santa
Santa Maria. Yeah, that's how.
Rage Against the Machine.
beatboxing. Yeah.
Shout out Mrs. Campbell.
Yeah, we learned that from you, Mrs. Campbell. She's.
Whoa, okay, come on. Let's relax a little.
Our 5th grade teacher, I was on Facebook the other day, and she's living life.
Yeah.
Yep. She's not married anymore.
Oh,
Oh.
that's too bad.
I think I'll always have an infatuation with my 5th grade teacher as well.
Mine's 4th grade. 4th grade.
It's just
Yeah.
what it is.
Mr. No.
Woo!
Mrs.
Oh,
Oh, you're
man.
Mrs. Wolomowski. Jeffrey, you should have. Oh no, you had Mrs. Campbell too. Remember Miss Cassidy in 5th grade?
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
This
What
is
a time to be alive.
5th grade, you're so confused too. You're like, why is this? I don't.
What's
understand.
happening to
I don't
me?
understand.
This is the best teacher I ever had, but I don't understand
Yes, I will
why.
skip lunch to eat in the classroom.
Yeah.
Attention.
we-
Yeah,
We had Miss Z. Miss Z, not only being like a new teacher in her 20s, she didn't do homework.
This is by
Didn't
far
believe in homework.
By
she was
far
the
the
first
I
one
didn't
to
have
start
her,
that
though.
wave.
The whole 5th
creepiest
grade wanted her.
conversation we have ever had on the podcast.
Oh, sorry, we're male?
this would be low key for normal combo. though.
Just
so-
saying.
That school is a couple miles down the road too.
Yeah.
No, Mrs. Wolomowski was insane. What's crazy to me now is looking back though, she was 23 years old, and she was our teacher.
Wow.
No wonder I was confused. Like, what?
You're not that much older than me.
I perceive you differently than.
I mean, to be
than
clear,
others.
she's still 14 years older than you at the time, but you know.
Yeah, but you know,
Boy, that puts it in an even weirder perspective.
yeah, but when you were 20, she was 34. Hey,
Right. Like if you were just, at a club or something, and
hoping.
That's someone my age teaching a classroom.
Right. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That seems strange.
Yeah.
But
I don't feel like I could take care of a classroom.
You know, I've determined now I don't trust a lot of doctors now that I know the people that I know that have become doctors.
yep.
I'm like, but they're dumb. No. Like,
No. So
that's weird to me.
So Jenna
I've
being
seen you passed out on
Jenna
the
being a
floor.
nurse, she went through the whole program and everything. Obviously, she works with doctors now. She says that, like in that period of your 20s when you'd be out like just socializing and gaining like life experience and maturing, they don't get that because they dedicated all their time to becoming a doctor. So they're still going through that when you're 8 years ahead of them.
Oh, so like they have like a late.
There's
bloom.
like a latency to their maturity in the sense of just like socialization, but not education.
It's like hitting puberty till you're like 18.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
is that weird? Yeah.
Now imagine if you don't hit it until you're 25.
Okay.
Hey.
We're all friends.
Yeah, you don't air my dirty laundry. The other thing is, when you look at it, is the perception of okay, they spent all that time, they miss those things, but then especially for female doctors, they have like let's say they're about 30, and all of a sudden the normal things that happen to a female at 30, what they start thinking, how they start processing information, they start thinking about starting a family, and a lot of them are even may feel behind. You know, it's like in our DNA to feel that way. So you mix that in together, and it's like, that's something.
Vikings.
That's where we
Let's get back
started.
to
I
that.
couldn't remember.
Crazy.
I really couldn't remember.
Right.
How in the world did we get here?
I don't know.
We
I
got here
enjoyed it,
because
though.
I didn't have caffeine for 4 days, and now I just had caffeine. So here we are.
There it is.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to this story.
Nature's buzz.
Nature's. Okay, so we now have, for the first time, you like how I'm starting it out like this so that
Hey.
we can still use the soundbite later
I hope so.
for the clip.
Okay.
We have right now for the first time what?
I got to go back to the Nature's Buzz thing. If we started an energy drink, that's the tagline. We copyright it.
We better do that now.
We put a little bit of honey in it.
Maybe we'll because of nature.
Buzz.
3 times distilled.
Oh,
Bees.
the buzz, the beat.
Oh,
What?
That's
Oh,
actually
nice.
That's all you need
Nature
is the
what?
honey.
Listen,
What was the thing you
We
were
can't
going
release
for?
this podcast.
then we could
now.
make one of those gas station pills and call it Birds and Bees because of like one of our offshoot products.
It's the third product. release.
So, for the sake of this podcast clip,
Someone's getting rich.
I know.
Not us.
For the sake of this podcast clip, this is the first ever clear evidence of Europeans arriving in North America, and it took place in 1021. Now, that's inside a 13-year span. So, inside that 13-year span of 1021, the Vikings were here, and we know that because of trees. Now, this is super cool, and I didn't know this, but in the year 993, I guess you'd say year 993, but it just sounds like it's weird to, if it doesn't have 1,000 in front of it, it's weird, you know? But in that year, there was extreme solar flares that created a really strong radioactive carbon footprint of carbon-14. So that was in the atmosphere. Now, that carbon dioxide had that all in it for months, okay? Really strong. So
When they say carbon dating and how they age things, that's what they're looking for.
I know, I'm headed there.
Nice.
So that year...
Thanks, MSU.
Yeah, keep it shut. I did research. So I don't want to hear you again. So in the year 993, that happened. So what they did was they said, okay, they found trees in Newfoundland. And yes, I know it looks like Newfoundland. This is kind of why, but Newfoundland. They found trees that were chopped down and used, but they were clearly chopped with metal tools. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Now the
I
indigenous.
thought you were going to say that they found the fossil of a tree from back then, and it had carved in it Sven, Hearts.
I was Ben.
What's that?
Nikolai.
I don't get it. I made it clear it was my story, but I don't get what you're saying.
Olga.
I don't know what a Viking lady's name would be.
Olga sounds right.
Olga? Yeah, okay.
I knew an Olga. She was
Had a restaurant, made real good snackers.
she was from
Those are good.
no, Olga, she was from Serbia.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. Smoking hot.
Is that still a country?
Serbia?
I really don't know.
Serbia is a country. It used to be Yugoslavia.
Oh,
Serbia,
really?
Serbia's still around.
Oh, that's
they got
awesome.
a lot going on though.
So Vikings, metal tools.
Metal tools. So
Nice.
because of the metal tools, they determined that because of the structures that were built out of these trees and the use of the metal tools to do it, that they knew it was an indigenous people. And there was always, I guess you could almost say, folklore, where up until now the history of where we placed the Vikings was based on stories that were passed down through generations. So there was never really any proof of it. But the belief was from a lot of people that the Vikings did come over to Newfoundland during roughly this period, but there was no definitive proof of it. The metal tools, the structures that they built can do that. So the way carbon dating works is this. They look at these trees. There was 3 trees that were cut, again, using these metal tools, and they can see when they were cut because there's rings. So if you were to chop a tree down, you would see rings, and you can age a tree based on those rings. Mm-hmm. So what they were able to do is see where that year 993 was on the tree inside of its rings. And then they were able to see how many years after that year 993 that the tree was chopped down, which would have been 1021. So they're able to see that that tree was chopped down with metal tools in the year 1021, where it was said that the Vikings were at that time through folklore and time passing down.
What's the 13-year? Is that like
the 13-year window is this, is we know that they were there between 3 and 13 years based on the buildings that were built, based on the stuff that was around the site.
Gotcha.
They can see that they were there from 3 to 13 years. The other thing was the folklore was that they went there and they had a lot of issues with the indigenous people. So the indigenous people, they had a name for them that they call them, and the name is translated to men who wear skins or animal skins. That was how they translated. But there was a lot of disruption going on back and forth between the two. You could understand how that would be. It looks like there was probably, based on the structures and mixed with the folklore, mixed with the timing, looks like there was about 100 men and women that went there. Looks like they built a church. Most of them would have been Christian at the time, but not all of them. It wasn't like an exclusive religion thing where you got chopped up if you didn't pick one. So that was it was an exclusive thing, but they probably had a church, it looks like, and they've like rebuilt those. But the way that the land has reclaimed, like the churches and stuff, AJ's showing you a picture of it right now on the screen. It's really, really cool to see.
Wow, that looks cool.
Yeah, it is. So that's that. It was just kind of interesting that using the trees that were chopped down clearly with metal tools at the time that the Vikings were supposed to be there. This kind of gives like the definitive proof that Europeans that used metal tools, because they were the only ones at the time, were definitely there at the year 1021, and they definitely chopped down trees, and it's just kind of interesting.
Geographically, where?
Newfoundland.
Oh, in Newfoundland?
Yep.
You said that.
I thought North America.
So
is that Newfoundland?
Is
that Canada?
North America
It's
is
in
Canada
Canada.
and
Okay.
the United States. Yeah.
Nova
So
Scotia.
there was also some evidence with these buildings and the site that they were researching that they had gone farther south and found, right? They had found more exotic type trees, which would take you down towards the Caribbean.
Yeah, well, what they were looking for was where they would often look for warmer climates because of grapes to make wine. So some of the things that they named.
They migrated?
Yeah, the sagas is what they call them instead of folklore. The sagas refer to the entire region as Vineland, which means wine land, supposedly because it was warm enough for grapes to grow.
Vineyard? Wineyard?
Now, because these people were from Greenland. I didn't mention that yet. So
Pretty cold up there.
and I've gone out of my way. So the Norse,
Greenland or Iceland? Because Iceland is green, Greenland is ice.
Greenland.
this is what it says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think Greenland sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting to me. So I'll read a little bit from this. Previous studies have established there was such a cosmic ray event that took place in the year 993, and that for a few months that caused greater than usual levels of radioactive carbon-14 in the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So a tree is breathing it, and because of that, it leaves that footprint on the rings. Kind
I
of.
wonder if a solar flare to that magnitude has happened since then.
It doesn't seem that way because we'd see
okay.
it on the trees again.
Okay.
So a strange part of this is the fact that like they're part of the European cultures, the Vikings, and Christopher Columbus is still taught in schools today. And
With that song.
and
Once you got the song, though, you can't go back.
yeah, And we understand it as he was the first person here, and that he thought the world was round. Everyone else thought the world was flat.
Oh, that's right, because
But-
he's the one that proved him wrong.
And because he thought it was round, he thought he would end up in India. And it makes you wonder about the communication between the Vikings and the rest of the Europeans, what that relationship was like. Because if the Vikings knew they weren't ending up in India, I'm sure they would have explained to the other Europeans that you're not going to end up in India like you think you are. Like we went and we went
400 years go by until
we went and did it,
Columbus.
and we got our butts handed
It's
to
a
us
whole
by some.
different land.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The thing kind of put it in perspective is I was in Scotland before all the COVID stuff, and you could actually travel. And there was an abbey there on
What, an
extinct
abbey?
volcano. It's like a kind of a religious building of sorts.
Okay.
Like monks live there.
Okay.
And it was on the side of this extinct volcano. It was built in, I believe, the 1500s, and all that was left was two partial walls that made like an L, and it was a stone building. So they did all like the, where you make an arch and you have the central stone, and it's like technology of the time,
Fun fact: that's called the Keystone.
the keystone.
Nice.
And these two partial walls is all that's left. So no wonder buildings that were made 500 years before then,
Right.
made out of wood, don't even kind of exist anymore. But it'd be
No.
interesting to see how they're able to rebuild that. That'd be really cool.
So this location, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Lance, which I know because Lance Cruz, so it's spelled that way.
Mm-hmm.
But Lance AUX, Lance Ox, we'll call it, that's what they called the settlement, and it's indicated through the sagas that it was abandoned due to infighting and conflicts with the indigenous people, whom the Norse called Skraeling. So they called them these Vikings were called the Norse, Norse, called it was Skraeling is what they called the indigenous people, which means wearers of animal skin. So I was correct there too. So the sagas refer to the entire region as Vineland, which means wineland, because of the fact that it could grow grapes, but Newfoundland technically can't. So itself was too cold for grapes. The name suggests that the North probably explored warmer regions much further south, because of they also found pieces of exotic wood at the location in Newfoundland. So they called the entire area wineland, but that would be like saying the United States, because like Florida is way warmer than Michigan. So it's like
Wildly
I just
different
didn't want it to be thought that we thought you could grow grapes in Newfoundland. That's all. So I wanted to make sure I cleared that up because it's my story.
It's
and
not bad.
You
I
talk.
like it.
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah, of course it's a good story. I came up with it. Speaking of
You made it up?
no, no, it's legit. We also never really need to make up stories because our life is a
Very true.
an S show, as they call it. So we went to Jeff and I went duck hunting this weekend without you two. Sort of. I mean, we had an experience.
Did you go to a place that does a draw?
Yes. Let me just tell you about our life real quick. So we go to, we decide we're going to do the afternoon hunt. So the draw is at 11 a.m.
We decided at 11 p.m. the day before. We're like, we're not going to make it up in time. Even if I go to sleep right now, I'm probably only going to get like 3 hours of sleep. We'll just do the afternoon hunt.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be better anyways.
So, yeah, that was what we told ourselves. So we go out. Listen to this, though. So we're, like, packing up the truck to go and stuff, but we have, like, time because we're doing the afternoon hunt. It's, like, 8 a.m. or something. And Jeff's like, I see him packing his stuff into my truck, and he puts his toothbrush in my truck. I go, why are you bringing your toothbrush? He goes,
I was in a hurry.
I'll need to brush my teeth when we get there. I go, brush your teeth now. And when I came here, when I got to the house, he was laying on the couch when we got to the studio.
I was in a super hurry. So I wake up in a panic because I'm worried my alarm didn't go off. But I got up 2 minutes before my alarm went off. But I'm still, I get up. I have just enough time to pack my stuff and get out the door. And then I get here and I'm like, I don't know exactly how long it's going to take to get from here to the draw place. I don't know. There's a lot of, usually with trips with us, there's a lot unknown. So I like to make sure, and I get here and he's like, be here at 8. I already get here at 8:15. So I'm like, oh no, we're in it,
He calls and wakes me up.
And I call and he goes, oh yeah, I'll get out of bed. I'll be there in a minute. I'm like, I could have slept longer. So I just slept longer. And then he got there and then Same thing. I woke up, oh no, in a panic because
I just wanted you guys to know he tried to pack his toothbrush to go duck hunting. I wanted you to know. So then you're like,
I brushed my teeth.
We had a wonderful time
Sorry
together.
for brushing my teeth. It won't happen again.
So then we leave. We go. We're driving there, and our trailer's iffy at best.
It's an original 84, so
81.
Really?
Do the math.
I thought it was 84.
No, 81.
Which is surprising you know that based on the story.
Yeah.
That you know.
I was going to leave that part out, but we'll go there. So then we go.
We did a good amount of checks. I double-checked the tires. We had just replaced the axle, all the bearings. We replaced the winch thing on the front. So, like, it's pretty solid. All the lights worked, which is unusual.
Yeah, the lights were
true.
those lights.
That's interesting.
Those lights haven't worked in years, and they
Well,
just started operating.
Trailer lights are always the worst. They just go out in no time.
Yeah. So anyhow, we're driving there, and all of a sudden, I always look backwards like 100 times, when you have the boat on there, and you can't see it. So I click the rear view camera on our Ram so I can see it doing what it's doing. And I look, and there's just a bunch of smoke coming out.
Wait, no, you missed the most important part. For the first 40 minutes of the drive, we're driving, and, we haven't taken the boat anywhere in an entire year, so it's always like you kind of are remembering things as you go. And I look back, and I see the strap that holds the boat to the trailer, and it's going like this.
Oh, man.
And we hear... and he slows down. The strap slows down. It's flapping back and forth, and the noise goes away. I go, oh, okay. So it just the strap just happens to be vibrating whatever frequency it's making that noise. We look back. We're slowing down, speeding up. We confirm it 100%. We forget that noise is even happening, and then 40 minutes later, then there's smoke.
Oh, man.
Which, if that is happening with your straps, you're supposed to put one twist in them so they're not a flat line going through the air and they won't hum.
Smart.
But
Moving on.
That's why we could have had you on this duck trip. Would have
been nice if you showed
I'm
up.
glad I didn't go.
So then,
saying it now.
all of a sudden the smoke starts pouring off, and I pull over. And I happen to pull over directly in front of a mechanic shop for cars and trucks. I was like, sweet. Like, at least we pulled in somewhere that they might be able to help us. And it was clear they were open even though it was Saturday. So we get out and look, and I don't know, what do you call it?
There's 3 bolts that attach the cover for the wheel above the wheel. There's the one at the wheel, there's the one up here, and then there's one here, and the one in the front keeps it from rocking back and forth.
It's like
and that bolt rusted off. So now it's just these 2 bolts, and this whole thing can just do whatever it wants. And it rocked forward and was touching the wheel as the tires going. It was just rubbing against it, and that's what caused the smoke.
First thing Jeff did was grab it.
Of course I did. I'm like, got to get it off of there, So
hot?
Didn't burn myself.
Just hot.
It was like, as it was happening, I went, this is dumb. What are you doing?
And I was like, do it. So then Jeff's like, well, I'll run in and see if they can help us with something, if they have like a bolt or something.
Yeah,
like that.
what was your pitch going
So
in there?
I figured,
Stu's shop.
because the top bolt is also loose. If you can tighten that top bolt, we'd be able to make it and then get back home and fix it later. So I walk in, and I said, hey, can I borrow 2 crescent wrenches real quick so you can grab one side, grab the other side, tighten, and go. We'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And the guy goes, I'll come out and take a look at it. I'm like, we got 6 minutes to spare.
But that's the other thing is like, now because we took our time and he did brush his teeth, we've got
we'll get there with, 12 minutes to spare?
We had 12 minutes. So because the draw was at 11.
Yep.
They don't
wait for you.
If we drove the whole way, like according to Google Maps, we would get there 12 minutes before the draw as it sits.
Okay.
Now that we've stopped, we're losing minutes every single second.
Every second.
Yeah. So it's like not good.
Do that math. Every minute we're losing. Every second we're losing minutes.
Just tell the story, man.
So the guy comes out. He takes a look at it. He goes, you know what? I got a bolt for that. Like, okay, maybe he'll just grab the bolt. It'll be fixed, and then we'll be on our merry way. He walks in. He comes. He has his drill motor with him, so he sets that down by the tire and then goes in to grab a bolt. I look at Kyle, I go, what a funny story for this guy if he came back out here and either we were gone or if just his drill motor wasn't there anymore.
I like that.
Yeah.
Did you guys see a drill? you took it with you?
Yeah.
That the Walt one? No, I didn't see it.
That was what we were.
So
those were the jokes we were making.
When in a panic, we make terrible jokes. So the guy comes back out. He tightens it. Goes, all right, you're good to go. I go, all right. Well, we should probably like give him some money for it. I look in my wallet. I've got a 5.
I had a single.
Just seems sad. He's got a single, which if we add that somehow makes it worse. Like, can we?
I don't carry cash ever.
No, neither do I. I just happen to have a 5 on me for no reason. So we go, hey, do you have like?
Do you accept Bitcoin?
Do you have Venmo? He goes, no. Like, well, I've got.
Well, if you want to get paid, you'll get it.
I've got that one Zelle. Nope, doesn't have that. Facebook does
I think it's Zelly.
a cash thing. Nope. He goes, I got Cash App. Look, neither of us has Cash App. Like, well, we'll Cash App you, I guess. So he takes a screenshot of his name and we leave.
I'm like, is 20 fair? He's like, I'm not going to tell you guys what to pay me. And then I'm like, does that mean that's not enough?
So 15.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, what
Good
does that
question.
mean? His exact words were, I was like, is 20 fair? Because I don't even know what these things cost. I don't know what the bolt costs. Being a handyman isn't in my
Worst case, it's like maybe
a bolt
$1
costs 50
or-
cents. So
yeah. So $1 plus 2 minutes of his time. We paid him $20. That's
He
more
made
than
plenty.
fair.
But when I asked him, like, I'm only just basing it off of body language and how he's talking to me. I'm like, is 20 fair? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you. Whatever you think is fair is fine. So it's like,
that's because he knows what he did was worth nothing.
right. Okay, well, I didn't know that. That's what Jeff told me in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, forget him then. No, I'm just kidding. I was
Well,
great.
he did save the day basically. So
So we were
That
in
was
and
for
out of there.
20
We had
bucks.
12 minutes to spare. We were in and out of there in 6.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm like, no,
crazy.
I'm like, this is our day.
and now we don't have to fix it when we. I'm sorry. Now I don't have to fix it when we get home. This is great.
So then we go to, we get to the draw with 6 minutes to spare. And then we get in the draw, and there's 38 parties there. Now, for a duck draw, basically you get a number for your party number, and then there's so many zones to pick from that are in this managed waterfowl area. If you get picked and you pick a zone, you get to go there and hunt. No one else can go there. The hunting's normally fantastic. Some zones are much better than others. The earlier your pick comes in, the more likely you are to get a good zone, blah, blah, blah. So we get there, we get in the draw, and we get picked 4th out of 38, which is
Every single experience where AJ's gone, we've either been picked last,
or second.
second to last,
Or not at all.
or not at all.
Yep.
So
I'm talking 5 attempts.
of course, the one time we go where we're not filming, we get picked 4th.
And what's also crazy is we go on opening day when there's the most people, and we have to get up at 2:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff tries to set us up in the most
Will
Ghetto.
not let that one time go.
I know.
Refuses.
Jeff.
To be honest, though,
Refuses.
that's 100% of the things you've booked, so.
You do not understand. Well, were we not disgusted by this place? I was moving my pillow and blanket out into the car to sleep in my car
Yeah.
because of how bad this place was. Meanwhile, right next door for the same price was Best Western.
Western.
That was
Which, out of the Westerns, it's the
It's
best.
to be clear.
Okay, so I'm going to circle it back. That was another story, but which I think we have covered, but it's
Plenty of time.
a good one for Jeff.
Several times.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So then we get there, we get 4th pick, and then I see a guy that I know, and I had met because he's my service tech at the Ram dealership. Super, super nice guy. Or not service tech, he would be the service representative.
Like advisor or
Yep,
something?
he's advisor. There you go.
Yeah.
Super, super nice guy. So I talked to him, and he's like, I've been here for 10 days, and I've gotten my limit every day. 10 days, every stinking day. I was like, good. Can you tell me which zone to pick? Because we got 4th pick. He goes, let's see what's still available. And he gets second to last. We had already killed 4 ducks in the morning. So he's like, I've already gotten 4.
we or him.
He did.
He did.
He said, I already got 4, so I can only get 2 more. And I got such a terrible pick. What I'll do is I'll go out with you guys, and I'll just be an observer. I was like,
We're used to that.
yeah. I was like, thank you. Like, what? So he's giving up his hunting, to give you an idea. He's giving up his hunting for the rest of the day so he can take us to the best spot that he was in, where a couple days prior, he had 3 guys. They got 18 ducks and 18 geese.
Wow.
No, wait.
Is that right? No,
No.
they got 8 ringnecks, 8 mallards, and 8 geese.
So then it wasn't 3 guys.
And partridges in pear tree.
because it's 6-man limit, so it must have been 4 guys. Maybe it was 3 plus him.
Geese don't count for that, do they?
Regardless,
Geese are separate.
They-
8 is still a number.
they did well.
They killed a lot of ducks. I think it might have been 3 plus him. So they killed a ton of ducks in this one zone. He's like, you got to go there. We're going to hammer them. It's going to be insane. And it was kind of a cold, windy, rainy day. I was like, this is
You're gonna limit out minutes.
That was it.
No. As we walk out, I'm like, just don't say the word limits. He goes, I guarantee shooting.
Oh.
So we didn't shoot. No, I'm just kidding. So then we go out. We get our boat in the water, and it's kind of fun. It is fun to like go out and do this because this is like our stuff. Normally, when we travel all these different places and stuff, it's cool to always have the newest things and get to do them. It's like kind of like going back in time for us, like being 2 16-year-olds going out hunting like we used to, in our little boat that we've had since it was made 10 years before we were born. And
It was a Montgomery Ward.
81.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the brand.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you heard of the brand Montgomery Ward?
Yes, I believe.
My dad,
so.
my dad has an outboard motor that's a Montgomery Ward too. It's like from the 50s or something.
Oh.
So we took the boat out in our 5-horse Mercury. This guy has a 40-horse long neck, like one of the beaver tail motors, and just a sweet rig. All kinds of, just completely decked out. The best decoys, the best everything. He's got a Chesapeake dog, which is beautiful. There's a picture of the dog right there. So we're gonna go out with him, and he takes us. And there's this big area where it's a big dike that you have to like take the boat over. But he had normally Jeff and I, like 2 broke chicks, we have to carry our boat over these dikes, and the dike itself is used to like hold water in these different zones and stuff. So we got off the river, had to carry the boat over that normally, which is like not an easy feat because the boat is a 14-foot heavy metal boat
Got
filled
all
with
of our stuff in it.
decoys, guns,
Snacks.
10 different beverages, a motor, gasoline. Like it's heavy. Like normally it's like a drag lift kind of push thing, and it's steep enough that you're like struggling just to walk up it. Well, he had a pulley system, which you'll see right now. It's the video you're watching. And he literally hooked up the pulley system to the front of it, and it was power. And
It's a winch. and
winch.
It looks like a chainsaw, and he just and it just takes it and
So he used that winch. He tied it to a pole on the other end, a metal pole that's in the water, and then drug his boat and then our boat over, which was awesome. And then like it would have been a nightmare to try and get over that thing carrying the boat. So we get over it, and then we go into our zone, and he's like, "This is gonna be awesome." So we're getting set up. Still getting the decoys up and everything like that, getting everything placed where we're going to be. And all of a sudden, a duck comes in out of like nowhere just while we're setting up. And I'm like, I immediately try and finish loading up, and I fire a couple shots, and I shot behind it because I was just in a rush and everything like that.
which was a shame because it was like right there.
Yeah. It was
really?
very
Like
shootable
great
duck.
shot.
As soon as he shot and it didn't go down, I go, I'm gonna hear about this for the rest of today. Probably get a call about it tomorrow.
All I did was say,
Do a podcast
Man,
about
I
it.
missed him. If only. Man,
I was like, I
can't
cannot
believe I missed that duck. Oh man.
said it about 100 times.
Oh
I believe it.
I was just so frustrated. We didn't have another duck come in the rest of the day.
Was it like the type of
That's
deal where you
insane.
could just see 'em, like all over around you, and you could see them in the distance and everything?
No, it was we saw one an hour, and they all wanted to stay way out in front of us, circle around to us, and go to a specific zone and get killed there. And they would go right to these other hunters and get shot every
And you
time.
heard the
Oh,
shots
so you
go
just-
off.
Oh, we saw it. Could see
Depending
it.
on how many guys were there, they probably got their limit.
Oh yeah,
I would bet.
yeah. We saw ducks 1 an hour, 6 hours. Not always one duck. Sometimes it was 2 or 3 would fly right into them.
Which just
Land
goes to
right.
show
Wanted
ya.
to land in their decoys.
Just goes to show you, depending on the day, depending on, you could be in one spot and the exact same setup that you did yesterday, and you limit yesterday, and you come out the next day, and they don't want nothing to do with you.
You just never know what you're gonna get duck hunting.
Yeah.
You just don't know. So that was
That's what makes it so fun, getting up at 2:30 in the morning.
you really don't get into duck hunting like
Nope.
we do.
I'm
No,
glad you're starting
no.
to see it. Oh, I thought you were.
Dying
No.
on that hill.
I will take it to the grave that duck hunting is not. No.
I love it more than anything.
If I could go in the afternoon and I didn't have to go get drawn, like if it was for sure, I could go to that pond. No one else is going to be there. It's on private property. I can hunt it. I can be there at 8:00 if I want to.
I wonder, and on top of that, you get the draw at 11, and then you get to go out for breakfast because ducks don't really come in until 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. So you get in the draw at 11, then you have until 1 to like
Yeah.
putz around, then get ready, then
We went to
take your
Tony's,
decoys
and it
out.
was the best breakfast I've ever
It was
had.
great.
The issue with the whole draw thing, though, is you're still not guaranteed a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which, I mean, I understand the idea of a draw and everything. It's a good idea, but
I
it's
wonder
not my thing.
if,
pretty
especially for
negative.
filming, if moving forward, we don't just try for the afternoon hunts to get in the draws for opening day. Do you think more people put in for the afternoon or more for the morning?
Morning, for sure.
Morning.
Yeah. So I wonder if it increases our odds if we go in for the afternoons because it would work better
Yeah, but
filming.
the hunting's not normally as good though.
Here's what we
Sure.
should do. Because it seems like whenever AJ and I are there is when we don't get drawn.
Hire
So
two
you,
different,
You
vid-
call us once you get drawn.
Yep.
and we'll head that way,
Yeah.
and we'll get there.
We'll
when
meet
we,
you out there.
We'll get there when we get there. Yeah, that was our trip.
Trust isn't built in a day. It's built over time. The early hours and the late nights. It's built by doing the work and pushing the limits every day. Because the promises we make are the promises we were built to keep.
If you'd like to help support the Greenway Outdoors, please like and comment on this podcast and subscribe to all of our channels.
So I was out on lunch earlier, and I got a frantic call from my mom. I wouldn't say frantic, but she's like, hey, I got the situation I need some help with. I'm like, all right, what's going on?
That was
And
Is that like
she's-
as frantic as she gets?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think frantic was the right word.
Let's not get too personal. Okay.
But
It's his mom.
Are you insulting his mom?
she says that she woke up to a dead deer in her pond,
Oh,
floating
no.
there.
Giggity.
A
Buck or doe?
buck.
Oh,
Oh, you didn't
that
mention
kind
that.
of changes things.
Yeah, it was like a 8-point, maybe, I don't know. Get lost in the details.
That's like the first thing I would add. But go ahead.
And
14 points.
so she's like, hey, what do I
World
do?
record.
I'm like, I really don't know. I mean, how long has it been sitting there? Well, we woke up to it, so I'm assuming a couple hours. So with the details that she gave me, I'm like, I don't know. Drag it out of the water, just set it in the woods, and nature will take its course. Because she was wondering if
How
if
far
I-
is she
if-
from the woods?
Does
She have woods on her property?
from here to Rite Aid.
Oh, okay. So that's probably like 300 yards.
Yeah,
It's a good drag.
maybe 200, maybe. Yeah, no doubt. And so I just tell her either drag it to the woods or her boyfriend would probably do it anyway. So, and I was like, well, I don't feel like going out in the middle, going to your place and start cleaning this deer,
Right.
Because I haven't done that once in my life yet. So, but she said that it had a gut shot to the stomach, and
Oh,
the assumption is that it got hit yesterday and then ran off, and
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if what they should do instead of dragging it all the way to the woods. So that, one, they're not smelling it. Two, they don't have to drag it. Just take it out of the water, tie it like a chain and brick to it, and let that sucker sink.
that's not a bad idea.
Because then you're not going to smell it.
That's true. That
Also,
That's true.
cut the,
the
antlers
smell was
off.
like
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but from at least it won't get. Yeah, at least something will eat it though. I guess in
I
the
mean,
pond
things
stuff
are
would
still
eat
going to
it.
eat it in the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be good for the pond, honestly. How
I wonder
big's the
if- I wonder
pond?
about as big as our driveway.
Oh, that's
So
like
just so you
parking
know,
lot?
just so you know what probably happened, the deer when they're shot in the gut, they experience similar to like what we feel like with a fever, like real nauseous, stomach ache, and a fever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what it feels like to them. So oftentimes deer that are gut shot will go to water for two reasons. One, to the cold water feels like it would stop the bleeding. So that's one reason they go there. And number two is because they think they have a fever. It's like a pan. It's like a
And they're trying to hide.
Okay.
yeah. Well, I don't know. How does that hide with the water though?
Hide down by the water.
I guess yeah. There's normally
they
cover by
jump
water.
in and swim down under and
When
stay down
my,
there, hold their breath.
Well,
They get their
no,
snorkel.
like when my chickens got attacked by coyotes at one time. I found several of them right down by the water's edge, just because they can like
yeah.
you're down low
In the
you're different
brush.
than the like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I forget what year it was, but blue tongue was running rampant and killing all the deer. And what I had read was a lot
In
of
Michigan, right?
yeah. Well, I don't know how national it was.
Okay.
But as far as I know, it was for sure in Michigan. It was killing off an incredible amount of deer, and a lot of the deer were found around water sources. So that leads you to believe that. I mean, that backs up what you were saying.
The fever thing.
Yeah, where they're just when they don't feel good, they're gonna end up by water because for some reason water is there.
It's just like you're supposed to.
Savior.
The doctor always says when you're sick, says stay hydrated, push fluids.
Yeah.
That's like the thing they always say.
I remember when, so our family has a farm down in Jackson, which is pretty well known for its good deer hunting.
Yeah, in Michigan.
In Michigan, yeah. And I think I was around the age of 14. I was hunting by myself, and I was sitting in the stand in the morning, had gotten bored, as young kids do, and just sitting there being cold sucked. So I got down and I'm like, I'm gonna go stalk a deer. I'm gonna go
Gotta be easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go
I'm
shoot
the
it.
greatest hunter alive.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did you have with you?
I had a 20 gauge.
Okay.
7.5
in it.
Yeah, it was my first gun, Remington 870 pump action,
Nice.
and 20 gauge. So get down from the stand. I'm like, I'm gonna go stalk a deer down, and on the property there's a field that is just pine trees. They were put there, I think the idea being that they would be Christmas trees, but then no one really committed to selling the Christmas trees, so they just grew huge. They're like 20, 30 feet tall. But once you're into the pine trees, you can crouch down and you can see under the lower branches because they're all just dead, so you can see for a long ways. And when I crouch down, I'm kind of like slowly moving my way through. And finally, I like...
You're pretty quiet, too, on a bed of pine needles is
right,
quiet.
yeah. And so I'm like, in my head, I'm doing really well.
You're Rambo.
Yeah, oh, totally. And it was so cool.
I will feast on this deer's heart today.
Yeah. So I'm crouching down, and I'm just, like, scanning the area, and there's, like, a little hill within this field. I get to the top of it. I'm, like, peeking over this little hill, and just over it, I can see a doe laying down off in the distance. I'm like, I'm gonna sneak up on this thing and I'm gonna get it. So I'm like on my hands and knees. I'm like crouched down like a duck, like doing like the little human duck walk thing, like because I gotta get under these branches to it. And I'm like, man, I can't believe how close I am. I'm getting to this thing. It's not doing anything. It's just like stone cold sleeping. And
literally.
Yeah. So finally, I'm like 20 yards away, and it's like, is it pregnant? Why is it so fat? And then the more I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah. So
it was dead.
It was
already
dead. I'm like, okay.
It
So I make a noise, nothing's happening. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not as cool as I thought.
No.
Walk up to it, gut shot, doe, just fat as can be, smelled awful, and my day was ruined.
Yeah.
So didn't get to stalk on
Hers too.
That's one of those things that, like, I wish you could go back and see from an outside perspective.
I wish I could have witnessed it.
Because, you know, like, you always think you're being so quiet, but, like, you're also directly above what you're using to get around to make noise. So I feel like
all
you
sound
always
is projecting
think
away.
You're being quiet, but in reality, you're not at all, and
Right.
especially because deer are so sensitive to noise.
And also, I mean, that kind of goes down to, like, the Native Americans wore moccasins. That was made out of skin.
Mm-hmm.
That was far more quiet than our
Yeah.
rubber boots that through the woods.
Or waterproof pants when you're like ducking.
Yeah,
I got a good story about that actually. Jeff and I were goose hunting one day, and we were hunting. It was public land, and on this piece of public land, there's a bunch of ponds, and so Jeff and I we go sneaking around to like the different ponds because we had sat all morning and we decided we were gonna go jump shooting, and it was goose only at the time. It wasn't duck hunting, and we come up on a pond and it's a ways off, but we see like just a stack.
There's so many of them, but they're all the way on the other side of the pond.
And the pond, and like we're a ways away from the pond too, and it's all geese. So
And it's probably swampy.
yeah, well, no, it was actually kind of grassy or whatever. But so I tell Jeff, I go, all right, you stay here. I'm going to sneak all the way around. I'm gonna jump up the geese and shoot them, and then they're gonna, because I'm gonna get around the back of them, they're gonna fly this way to get away from me, and then you're gonna be right there to kill them
And the
too.
wind was in a good situation,
Yeah.
so it was like,
So you guys were all set
we
up.
get 2 shots at these geese.
Yeah.
For sure. So, but I had on like waterproof pants and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna take one for the team. So I take off my waterproof pants, and all I got on is like heat gear, Under Armour, like long johns, basically.
Yeah.
Like long underwear. That's all I got. And then took off my jacket because it's that loud waterproof clothing too. And I'm like, the grass is all wet. It had been raining and stuff. But I'm like, I get down and I'm like army crawling.
So there's enough geese here. It's like it's worth it for the day.
Oh yeah.
There's like 18 geese. Keep in mind we're kids too. We're 16. So to us, this is like, holy crap.
Gold mine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're the greatest hunters alive. So I army crawl, and I mean, I go a long ways. It's probably like a 20-minute crawl. Get all the way over there, and I'm getting ready to pop up. And there's two guys standing there looking at me like I'm nuts. And there's a whole mess of, it's all goose decoys in the water.
Oh no!
Whoa.
No! And they're just watching you crawl up on them.
Yeah, they're like, hi.
Oh,
I'm like,
they're like, we could hear you from 500 yards back.
I might as well have just shot the decoys for
Oh
to
my
finish off the
gosh.
story.
How
And
good
you-
it, I don't know what's more impressive, the decoys that you thought were real or your valiant effort to get the
to crawl all
Yeah.
the way
Or-
there.
or the
and the two
fact
guys were watching.
That
Yeah.
I sat there and watched the decoys.
Decoys,
the whole
dude.
time he was doing that, and they never, they move a little bit with the wind or with the
Yeah.
water moving and stuff, but like they never move their heads, they never flap,
That- I
they never.
mean-
But I just the whole time it was in our heads that those were geese. So I'm like,
That's the only
Oh
thing you
my
look at when you're
gosh.
trying to figure out if something's real or not. Always watch the head.
Yeah.
Because on wild animals, they're always like, they're always on
alert.
edge. Yeah.
Especially
I
with
mean-
geese, there's always one that's like
Yeah,
the guard.
on guard.
Right.
You're lucky that like cell phones weren't a thing yet, because if those guys had seen you coming, they would have filmed that, and you would have
Oh my
ended up on some meme page like, watch it, look at this dum dum. No offense.
world star.
I feel like at that point I had that like flip up, the like little baby laptop phone.
Yeah.
So that could be on the internet somewhere.
Maybe.
I guess the lesson
You-
is
you
don't
go
gut
looking.
shot.
Yeah.
You know, know your shot.
Aim small, miss small.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a decoy. So.
So, scrolling through TikTok, you always find some interesting things. This one was genuinely interesting in the fact that this woman who had contracted Lyme disease was showing that she stings herself with honeybees to
Oh.
help with her
Symptoms?
symptoms of Lyme disease. So I'm not sure what the symptoms were. I would assume that any symptom of Lyme disease would be awful,
Would suck,
just
yeah.
based on everything I've heard.
Yeah.
But she, a few times a week, takes old honeybees that she buys off a beekeeper and stings herself with it just to help with the symptoms.
Yeah.
And the more I dove into this, there's kind of this like society around having chronic diseases or
Mhm.
illnesses and stinging yourself to help with the symptoms. And I didn't even know this was a thing.
No, I have no clue.
I heard about that. There was a lady with MS, and she went to the doctor, tried all the different kinds of, drugs and things and therapies that they have for it. Nothing was working. She was getting worse. Pretty soon, she wasn't going to be able to walk anymore.
So she's
it
like,
was
let's try venom.
very aggressive. And
Yeah.
then I don't remember how she got into it, but someone suggested it, or she got stung and then started feeling better, and then got into this community where
Right.
they just send you bees and you sting yourself with them, and there's some kind of either healing property in the venom, or there's your body's reaction to the venom has some kind of healing.
Leave it to Western medicine to keep that under wraps.
Yeah, right?
So that's not to get too conspiracy theory with this,
How do you not?
but I guess it's been outlawed to use bee venom like that because of the fact that there's been some significance behind the fact that it helps with HIV. And HIV used to be such a big issue that when people found this out, Western medicine, Big Pharma didn't necessarily like this. Obviously, I don't have a lot of evidence behind that. It's just things I've been reading.
People
so
done it.
Yeah.
so that's just out there. As far as what you were talking about, the properties within it, there's something in it called melatonin. And melatonin is basically that's what's in venom. It's in jellyfish. It's in snakes. That's the property that gives you that stinging sensation from venom, that pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it does is it attacks cells, and what it will do will burn a hole in the membrane, the protective membrane of cells, and kind of eat away at it. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where are you doing more damage than good? In my opinion, based on what I've read, it's doing more good because these people, their symptoms are more relaxed and they're able to properly enjoy life. Where one of the girls I was reading about contracted Lyme disease, and she's like, I went weeks without getting out of bed. I couldn't lift my head up. I was in so much pain. I couldn't exist in this world until I started doing this. And it was because they think it's because this melatonin breaks open that membrane and attacks things. And so the melatonin it's antimicrobial.
Antimicrobial, yeah.
So what it does is, because Lyme disease is basically a bacteria that attacks your body, it gets in the nervous system and it creates a whole bunch of different issues. What it will do is the venom gets into the cells and it attacks that bacteria and kills it off in a sense. So it subdues it from getting worse.
So it's kind of like chemo, because you're attacking the thing that's attacking you, but you're also attacking you at the same time.
Exactly. So it's like a natural form.
Non-discriminate.
Yeah. So it's a natural form of doing that. And there was even some evidence behind that. Different types of venom have shown itself to be work in a positive way against cancer.
Yeah.
But how does that make money?
Yeah. No wonder we haven't heard of this treatment.
Not
I know.
to make the whole conspiracy theory thing worse, but the reason I heard about it, the whole MS story, and this is 2 weeks in a row now, Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, really?
Yeah?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's being covered, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's being put out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Hopefully it has more by now.
when I was trying to look it up and read about it, it was a little tough to read it. And the other thing about it is I couldn't find a lot of science behind it other than word of mouth, people saying this has helped me and it's helped my situation get better. There's no science because I don't think there's no university funding this, or Big Pharma's not funding this. And
No.
Yeah.
so if anyone out there is suffering from an illness,
Try it.
Yeah, we're not doctors, to be clear. We're not giving no medical advice whatsoever.
And we are not liable for
I'm saying
anything.
go
So
for it.
Hey, you know what? If it can clear up symptoms from someone who has MS or Lyme disease, there has to be something to it.
And the interesting thing is you hear about these sorts of things all the time where it's like this weird thing from nature helps with these symptoms. And the more you think about it, we used to be hunters and gatherers where we were outside all the time. We didn't have like solid shelter. This book I've been reading it's taken me forever to get through. I usually read it when we're going through the airports, The History of Mankind. Super interesting.
3 words per minute is not a good way to get through a book.
No, it's tough. And
Jeez.
so just reading about the way mankind has become, we spend a lot of time outside. A piece of me wonders if we were so much healthier because we were hunting and gathering. If you contracted Lyme disease, you were still hunting and gathering to survive, so you were running into more hornets and bees trying to scavenge for food, that you were getting stung, so you weren't set back laying in bed. You had to survive. You had to go do these things, so you were getting stung on occasion, which helped with your disease.
And they would have known.
And they would have known regardless, but still, it's interesting to me how many different things, or like you hear about people microdosing with mushrooms, with the psilocybin. You needed food, so you were hungry, so you were...
I'm really hungry, but how high am I willing to get?
There's a study in Australia right now where they're determining the health benefits of psilocybin in a laboratory setting where they're actually trying to use it.
It's coming here too
for health purposes. That's
well,
great.
it's coming here, but it'll be shut down immediately because who has all the
Doesn't
power?
they make enough money. You can make it at your house? Oh my gosh, we can't have that happen.
The whole bee venom thing like that, it shouldn't surprise us though. Everything else about bees is super healthy. Honey has so many different health benefits for you.
We need those things to stick around.
There's a workout supplement that's bee pollen. That's a thing that I've heard of. I never taken it, so I don't know what the health benefit is.
You're the only one here with a dietetics degree.
Has to have some.
So, it's just
very interesting.
At your own discretion.
Yeah, and it's not specific to. I don't know why people are choosing specifically bees. What about that? Because, like I said, there's not a lot of science behind it. Because they're saying that melatonin is in pretty much anything that produces some sort of venom. So. That's out there. If anyone out there, like I said,
Go out and get stung.
Yeah.
do some. No, don't get stung, but do some research on it. See what's out there, because
Yeah.
the girl that I was reading about, she said that her and her mother had spoken to around 75 doctors, and she was diagnosed with lupus. She was diagnosed with everything under the sun, and then finally it came out. They decided it was Lyme disease, and I don't know how that. They're probably through some testing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jenna, again, being the nurse, that's one of the hardest things to diagnose. Like, you have to go through years and years of suffering before they decide it's lupus. So,
jeez,
there's that.
It's interesting. Nature's a funny beast. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Green Outdoors podcast. You can find all of our episodes on Carbon TV and YouTube. If you'd like to watch it, the video footage is actually there of the actual podcast itself, especially when we're referring to look at this picture or that video. All that can be found there. In addition, you can listen to the podcast everywhere that podcasts are found: Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, so on. Also, check out our main TV show on Sportsman Channel at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. And check out our Huntcast/Quick Trips that you can find on our YouTube channel as well as Carbon TV. And then check out our website, thegreenwayoutdoors.com, and click on Shop. Because if you do, you'll see our cool merchandise. Jeff's got one of the hats on today. Lots of cool stuff there. We'd love to see your support. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay green.